Well, thank you for joining me today, Mandy. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Feels good to be back.
Yeah, it's been about 6 months. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what's been going on since I haven't seen you, since group ended.
Yeah, so one of the main reasons I'm here is that my partner has kind of influenced me to come back.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that I should come back because the group was very helpful. I'd seen the effects of the group in a lot of facets of my life, and he obviously saw them in our relationship, so we've kind of been talking, and he's kind of encouraged me to come back. So here I am. But I don't know if I'm managing my anger as well without some kind of interaction. Like, the group was really helpful, and I was doing really well, and I was in it. I kind of liked having other people that were going through the same issues as me.
Right. That's understandable.
Yeah, and so it was very helpful. So I think, it might be time that I come back into counseling and see what might be going on if,
okay, great.
If I can't
handle
my anger like I do when I'm in counseling.
Well, I'm glad that you felt like group was really successful for you, so I'm excited at the opportunity for us to kind of dive into you as an individual with this individual therapy that we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
So you said that your partner had suggested that you come. Could you give me any specific examples of a time in the past since I've seen you that you think caused him to come to this suggestion?
I guess, since I've seen you last, I've lost a job, and that's just kind of been difficult on our relationship. We've just been kind of as a whole, just arguing a lot more, fighting a lot more. There's been a lot more conflict, not really seeing eye to eye, which is kind of unusual for us. I mean, we've been together for a while, and he knows that I have a short temper, and like we've always kind of been able to work through that, but now it just seems like it's just like a whole new playing field of problems. So.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that things were going well, but since, and correct me if I'm wrong, since you stopped going to group, you feel like that's when a lot of the problems kind of arose?
After group, I'd say that our relationship was doing better for a while, at the beginning of the year, so kind of like right before group, I had lost my mother suddenly. And so I think that sometime after group, my like grief has kind of changed, and then I'd also lost the job. So it's kind of just been like a ongoing like
build-up of things.
Yeah. So I can't really say like a specific like time, but there's just been, as time is going on, there's been all these things added to it, to the problem.
I remember during group, one of the things that we talked about a lot was the loss of your mother. So without having that weekly normal support group that you had during the time, just right after you lost your mom, how have you been handling and working and processing that grief since groups ended?
I think just with that alone and not everything else going on, I've become less sad and more angry.
Okay.
Just anger at what had happened, and that, she was taken away and she's not here. And then with the upcoming holidays coming up, this will be the first holiday without Mom there, and so I'm not particularly close with like my siblings or anything, but I think we're all kind of sharing that intensity. And
have you been able to share with your siblings, like divulge your feelings and kind of process that like with your siblings, since they know what you're going through more closely than pretty much anybody else in your life?
Yeah, I'm not particularly close with them, and we kind of have talked about more of just kind of like the logistics of mom not being here and what we're gonna do. I think we've all acknowledged that it's gonna be hard for all of us, and have kind of talked to that extent, but we don't really like counsel each other or make time to sit down and like talk to each other about it. If it comes up, it comes up, but it's not like a deep conversation, maybe.
Have you feel like your boyfriend's been there to support you?
Recently it's been hard. I don't really know, but I think that he kind of maybe assumes that like I've done my grieving and I'm kind of like over it, or maybe from an outsider he doesn't really understand like where my anger is coming from. Maybe he thinks I should be like sad and crying or something, and then because I do have anger issues in my past, I think that's like even more kind of scary for him. Like, why are you angry? Like, you were doing so well when you were in group and stuff, but I think maybe my grief just looks different now.
I think it's important to remember that there's no one right way to grieve. That grief goes through stages, it goes through changes, it goes through lulls and periods where sometimes it's not even present, that you feel like you fully processed it, but then like you're saying, with the upcoming holidays, that's something that you have yet to have to go through and feel those feelings without her here. And so I think it's important for you to be able to feel comfortable to express your grief or not, however that is for you. Do you feel like you can have an open conversation and dialogue with your partner about how you're feeling like lately with it?
Yeah, with just like with my mom, I have, I guess, been able to be open with him. It's kind of more of, with like the holidays coming up, like planning how we're each gonna be spending time with our family and when what's gonna happen, and more oftentimes, like an argument will kind of arise from it, but if I do need to talk to him about my grief, like I can talk to him, but it's like if I kind of bring anger into the situation, that's kind of where like I think his mind goes to like, okay, well, like, you're this angry person with anger issues in your past, which, I realize, but sometimes I don't think he's like he doesn't have a broad view of grief, so it's kind of hard for him. Maybe I shouldn't expect him to understand that, but just the way even other conversations between us have been going, I guess it's not surprising that like he's kind of shut off or things will turn into an argument, because that's kind of common for almost everything right now, not just when talking about my mom. So
just in life in general, with you and your partner, do you feel like you're able to ask for what you need?
I guess I don't ask for what I need. Yeah, maybe I don't feel like I can. I think, like, well, okay, so me and my partner have been together for a while, and I think, in his mind, I would see where he thinks he's, like, helping, or I don't think he has, like, malicious intent or anything, but, whenever I do need something, whether it just be, like, a hug, or I need him there to support me, what I get from him is more of, like, focused on me, and, like, what I'm doing wrong, and my faults, and like, oh, well, like, maybe you could try this and this, or if you did this and this, or if you weren't so angry, this would happen, instead of like, I don't know how to say this, like, because I do want the focus on me, but maybe in a different way. Like, maybe I need more emotion or just a hug, or I just need you to be there and not telling me my faults, like, just standing there. But I don't ask for that. I never thought about that before.
I think asking for what we need is a really important thing, but it's a really hard thing to do. Especially if it's not something that has been a part of y'all's relationship in the past, where kind of take and give has been more natural and less, I don't want to say forced, because forced is the wrong word, but more scripted, that sometimes we need to let other people know how they can help us, because they're not mind readers. And maybe your partner feels that by focusing on these things that he knows you're trying to work on, if he makes that his priority, that's a way to help you. But unless you say otherwise, I feel like this pattern is going to continue. Can you see how that might happen?
I think I can see that too, because I think maybe in a way I am asking, now that I think about it and you bring that up, I think I am kind of asking for it, but the way it comes out is often I'm yelling and it's, you don't appreciate me, or why can't you just be there for me? And he'll come back with, I am there for you, like, you're just blowing off the handle, you're just yelling to yell, like, I am there. And I'm like, no, like, you are here, yes, but you are not, I guess I don't say you're not giving me what I need, but it turns into this argument, so the point doesn't come across, and it's me yelling, and that when I yell, it's my anger problems, so
it sounds like these altercations between you and your partner are very passionate on both sides.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of emotion. There's sometimes yelling on both sides, sometimes yelling more on one side than the other. Would you feel comfortable trying to write him a letter? Or maybe creating a list of talking points so that you could have a more calm conversation? Because I think a lot of times when we love someone or we feel very strongly and very passionately about something, it's very easy to get off track from what we want to say. It's very easy to let our emotions be heightened and be louder because we want our point to get across more, when that's maybe not the best way to communicate, because you want him to know and understand how you feel, but you're not feeling like you're able to adequately communicate that. Would you say that's a correct feeling of yours?
Yeah, I think, like, writing down, like, the points that I would need to talk about if we were having, a serious conversation would be good, because I'm thinking back to some examples, and it seems like when this happens where it turns into me yelling, and it's like, you're not doing this, and he comes back, normally it's, like a fault of mine or something having to do with my past issues. I think I then go into defensive mode. And so I start defending myself because I don't think it's really about that. But when I go into that defensive mode, I leave behind, like, all the things that we were trying to talk about. It, like, turns to another conversation and just, it snowball rolls, and we may never get back to what I had originally, wanted to talk about. So I think, like, writing that down and, like, bringing that to him is very visual.
I also think something that might be helpful is what I'm hearing you say is when you and your boyfriend fight, it's a lot of you. You do this, you're not doing that. A lot of finger pointing, a lot of shifting of blame. Instead of using that kind of language, I would really encourage and challenge you to use I statements. I feel unsupported when X, Y, and Z happens. Bring it back to you, because I know that in conflict and in fights, it's very easy to get, like you said, to that place of trying to defend yourself and try and protect yourself. So rather than having a conversation where he feels like blame is being shifted, no one is being blamed. We're just having an open conversation about feelings. I feel unsupported. I feel like I'm failing in these ways. I feel, Just using those I
Uh-huh.
statements to bring the focus back towards your perception. Because your perception is your reality, just as his perception
Yeah.
is his reality. And so maybe if you're both able to better understand the other person's perspective by
Mhm.
using this list, by having a more calm conversation, by using these I statements, then maybe communication will be able to improve not only about anger issues, but just issues in general in your relationship.
Yeah. I think I would appreciate that because then the blame that isn't, well, not blame, but the focus that is on me, like I feel this way, or, you know, I perceive this as this, it's like, it's not my fault. It's not, you know, I got angry and blew this out of proportion. I started yelling at you. It's, you know, what's actually happening. And I think he would appreciate it too, because I think even if I just went and said, I feel angry, like, I think he would be able to wrap his head around that. Like, anger is a feeling that I'm going to have. And even though I have anger issues, like, that may be separate. Like, I still have the right to feel angry, even though, you know, in the past I've done the anger management group and it worked. Like, I still have the right to be angry. I think he would appreciate that.
I think all emotions are valid for you to feel. That even within this anger, I bet if you were able to tease it out, what other emotions play into this? So you mentioned that you lost your job and that you were angry about that. What other emotions? Let's take anger off the table.
Okay.
What other emotions do we feel about the fact that we lost our job?
I guess, I'm trying to think of the word. It's not like guilty, but, just like, of a lower, like, I went down lower in status, like, maybe, like, in my boyfriend's eyes, you know, that, like, I had my job and I lost it, so it's like, again, it's kind of like, it's something I did to lose the job, so I'm kind of just like, oh, another strike against Mandy, so whatever feeling that is. I guess I feel sadness. I think not so much because of the job, but because of the recent death of my mom. It makes me feel sad, like, is this what my mom would have expected of me? Or, like, you know, maybe I would have my mom here helping me through the job loss, to be someone to counsel with, but I don't, so that makes me sad. I guess maybe that I just, like, don't really feel myself.
Talk more about that.
You know, I guess there's some confusion in there, but, you know, the increased conflict with my partner, I mean, there's always been conflict there, and I've always had a short temper, and me even, like, yelling at him is not anything new, but it's just the amount of conflict, and everything is a conflict, like, that's new to me, that's new to us, so I don't really feel like myself. I'm not working, and I've pretty much always had a job, really. I mean, even when I was young, I had a part-time job at, like, a restaurant, so, you know, so that's kind of not me.
Excuse me. Thank you.
But, yeah, just really different than how I normally am, or how I normally feel.
So what are your goals for yourself as coming into therapy, and short-term and long-term? What are you hoping to get from this? Because I know you were encouraged by your partner, but also from what I'm hearing from you is that this was something that you also wanted to do.
Yeah, definitely. I did want to give it a try just because I really liked the group therapy. So, and I know there wasn't a group right now, and so I was like, okay, well, let's try individual therapy. Plus, because there's so much more going on
Mm-hmm.
in my life, I thought this would be good. But I think a goal would still be to continue the anger management issue and kind of like the coping skills and kind of going over the stuff that we had gone over in group a little bit. I think that would be a goal because I think it is hard when I'm not in it. Like I did good for a while, but I think it's a little hard.
I feel like that accountability was something that you kind of needed.
I think so, and just having someone who kind of like understands that aspect of me to be there for me, because I mean my partner is there for me, and my siblings really are, but I don't think they like understand like the anger issue. So to kind of have someone from that background there, so I guess that would be a goal. I guess another goal would just be to kind of start feeling more like myself again.
What would that entail for you?
I mean, I don't really know if it's like a goal, but how you asked me about what other emotions besides anger, I just feel like there's like a whirlwind of emotions going on. Like there's so many, so it's just kind of like wrap my head around that and maybe like control that a little bit. If I could find some perspective here on how to do that, that would probably be a big goal of mine too.
Have you found yourself employing some of the coping mechanisms that we would talk about in group, like when we're feeling angry to switch tasks or to go out for a walk to kind of try and learn to walk away from things when we feel like we're going to explode, or just kind of do things with our hands, or just any of those or other coping strategies that we had talked about?
I actually kind of feel that like now I'm employing those kind of like after the fact, like with me and my partner, for example, when something happens, it kind of just like turns into an argument, like a jet plane taking off, like it just takes off. But after the fact, that's when I kind of do some things where like I'll separate myself, like I'll just kind of go to a different room and like distract myself, or you know, start cleaning something or putting something away, and he'll kind of take his time to go off and do whatever, shower or something. We kind of you know, so it's like I do, but like after the fact. But I guess if the situation does entail, like I do try to like think like, okay, like take a deep breath or something, but sometimes it's just like, well, sometimes it's most of the time when when I feel like the blame is putting back on me, that's when it's just like I can't think of that like right before I start
feeling attacked and things of that nature. You had mentioned before that you've pretty much always worked and that you don't feel like yourself. What do you think the job plays into that? Because I know with coming to group, you liked that accountability, you liked that structure, you liked that routine. Do you think there's any validity in the fact that because you're not working right now, you maybe feel less like yourself without that sense of purpose and routine?
Maybe a little bit, like half and half. So like being unemployed right now has kind of given me a chance to kind of relax and like focus on my own, you know, but then you know, then again I'm not going to work like I'm used to, so I've kind of made like a kind of like my own routine at home, but it's not like, I mean, it's a different routine. And
talk me through that routine.
I guess like we wake up, my partner he'll start getting ready for work, and I kind of just get ready a little bit. We'll eat breakfast together, and then he'll leave, and then I stay home, watch TV, and then I'll start cooking. I really like cooking. Cooking is very enjoyable. Now I have a lot more time to do it during the day, so I'll spend a good part of the day like cooking and baking and trying all that and eating that. And but then, you know, he'll come home, we'll have dinner, and just kind of go about our day, talk about how his day went at work and things like that. So So yeah, it's kind of nice to have that time just to myself and to do things, but it's still, I guess, not like a structure of going to work and you know, being accountable to someone or like doing a job and being responsible.
Do you feel like that's something you want, or are you enjoying this time to yourself?
I mean, I have thought about that. I think kind of what I've been leaning towards is just kind of doing this throughout these last couple months here of the year, through the holiday season, and then just at the start of the year, kind of starting fresh there, starting to look for some jobs, get some applications out. It's kind of how I've felt about it. I don't really think my partner maybe is on board as much with that plan. But I mean, sitting home is kind of nice sometimes. So, so I kind of like it. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here at the end of the year anyway, with like the holidays and stuff. I figure maybe I can just look after all that's over. Yeah.
What do you think he thinks about all this?
You know, I think that I guess maybe now I didn't think about this until you asked, but maybe he is kind of like worried about me. But you know, just like sitting home all day and stuff like that. But I also think, you know, there's a stress of us going from 2 incomes to 1 income. So so probably that too.